Hey guys, this is Collected Dude. I'm going to do another reading for you, and for myself, just to have fun with this. Greg Rucka and Michael Lark did another book called Lazarus #1. Called Lazarus. It's #1. But it's a very cool book, very good book. I had to stop collecting it after issue 2 because I was saving my money and everything. I was real particular about what titles I was going to get, but this is a really good book. So if you don't have this, you ought to look at picking it up. You might be able to find them at half-price books and other bookstores and stuff like that. And it should be in trade now, but it was really good, so I like it. So I'm going to go through this and try to do a reading of this and hopefully do a good job. Okay, let's see here what we got. The world now lies divided, not amongst political or geographic boundaries, but amongst financial ones. Wealth is power, and that power rests with only a handful of families. The few who provide a service for their ruling family are cared for. All others are waste. In each family, there is one person given the best they can offer: training and technology and assets, every scientific advantage. This person is named their family's sword and shield, their protector, their Lazarus. In the family Carlisle, the Lazarus is called Forever. This is her story. Family, Part 1. Catalog of trauma as follows. Bullet 1. Ventral dorsal traverse entering 8th interspace on rising trajectory. Round fragmented, compounding fracture of the rib at penetration site. Round exited 4th interspace right dorsal. Bullets 2 and 3 following similar trajectory. With the second puncturing the right lung, and the third an interclavicular penetration with corresponding scapular exit. Result: full hypovolemic decompensation with corresponding respiratory collapse due to impaired lung function and inadequate perfusion. Or according to telemetry, down and dying. Now the question, how long were you out? I'm not sure. A minute? Maybe 2? I get disoriented, you know that. And it hurts. Gosh, but it always hurts. It's like I'm not in myself when it happens. Like I'm outside, watching myself through glass. Interesting. Possibly the result of the endorphin dump interacting with the fight or flight IPS release. All right, what happened next? You know what happened next, James. I want to hear it from you, Eve. I'm asking you what you did, what you felt. I don't like talking about it. I don't want to talk about it. Please, James, don't make me talk about it. That's not a choice, I'm afraid. I have to know. Yum, yum, that's good stuff. All right, yeah. Yum, yum. Woo. Crack. Swoosh. Whoosh. I killed him, James. I killed all 3 of them. They only wanted something to eat. The family provides food for all citizens, as you know. If they're documented residents of the domain, they will receive their allowance. They broke into a family residence forever. Unused, yes, but family property. They picked a low security location, they came armed, and then they tried to kill you. Have you considered what would have happened if you hadn't been the one to encounter them? If they'd run into your siblings? Or, God forbid, your parents? We're lucky it was you. Maybe. You can put your shirt on now. James? Does everyone feel like this? When they have to kill someone, I mean. This is normal, right? To feel like this? No, Eve, they don't. Don't let it worry you. I'll give you something to help with it. We have to follow up on the platelet therapy after you and Jonah finish up at Harvest 1. I'll give you something then, all right? You won't tell them what we talked about, will you, James? Father or Jonah or anyone? Of course not. I would never betray your confidence, I promise you. Central California, the San Joaquin Valley. Facility, Harvest 1. Family, Carlisle. Population family, 2, temporary. Population serf, 512. She's physically fine, a full recovery, precisely as designed. It's her emotional state that I'm worried about. Population waste, 32,500 estimated. She's asking some problematic questions. Again? You were supposed to take care of that, James. I'm including another Oxycontin bumper with the blood spin, but it needs to be reinforced this time, Jonah. It won't work if there's no one for her to bond with. Show her some love, you mean? Exactly. Sir, your sister has arrived. Thank you. No time like the present. I'll do my part. You just make sure that bumper does its job. We can't have her getting any ideas. Forever. I heard about what happened at the guest house. Thank God you're all right. I'm fine. I'm so sorry I'm late, Jonah. I had to go up to Sequoia to see James for treatment. I tried to explain you needed me here. Shh, forever, shh. None of that. I'm just glad you're okay. You're sure you're up to this? I go where my family needs me. That's my sister. Miss Carlyle, Commander. I'm glad to see you're all right. Thank you, Sergeant Arorioso. Your report, if you please. Yes, ma'am. At 03:22 this morning, Moray Family Forces launched an assault on this facility. We had no warning, nothing prior on radar or thermal. No idea how they got so close to the walls undetected. The entire grid went dark during the attack. The whole security network simply collapsed. They pushed straight for the cold storage, straight for the seed vaults. We barely stopped them in time. You ran diagnostics? As soon as we could, yes, ma'am. There's no sign of a system fault. Which means it was shut down, not sabotaged, not hacked, which in turn means we've been betrayed. You're jumping to conclusions, Jonah. Ma'am, forgive me for asking this, but we heard what happened to you. Do you think the assault on you? I don't. I was attacked by waste, not soldiers. We're positive it was Moray. We took one alive. I want to talk to him. Her, actually, and you can't. She didn't survive interrogation. They came for the grain forever. They practically walked in through the door, a door one of our people opened for them. The only people who could have opened that vault are senior technical staff. Or one of us. You're not seriously accusing one of our family. Of course not. I just don't want to jump to any conclusions. We have been betrayed forever. And your father, and you know what father would demand of you if he was here. We have to send a message. Your soldiers died here. You know what you have to do. You know what's expected of you. Sergeant Ariosa, please assemble the senior technical staff in the courtyard. As well as their families. All present and accounted for, ma'am. Thank you, Sergeant. I beg you to listen to me carefully. In light of the last night's attack, we have concluded that someone within the facility was in collusion with Moray forces. Someone who had clearance to disable the security on the cold vaults. One of you. My father's policy regarding betrayal is unequivocal on this matter, as you know. He requires an example must be made. A confession will spare your families and your colleagues, but if no one claims responsibility for this act of treason, I have no choice but to execute all of you to serve as a warning to others. Fine. Sergeant Lynham, wait. Please. Me. I did it. It was me. Dad, don't. You be quiet, Katie. You let this be what this will be. I did it, you understand? It was me. You've done the right thing in coming forward. Forever? You know what to do. No, no. One in the back of the head, I think. Quick and painless, so I hear. Or so I hear. I'm sorry, it isn't. I speak from experience. So it's true what they say about you. Forever Carlyle. The Lazarus? Well then, I suppose you would at that. I think you're lying, sir. Does it matter? Of course it matters. It matters if you're innocent. It matters if there's still a traitor in our house. Why would you throw your life away? You, your brother, you're kind. You talk a lot about family. If that word meant anything to you, you'd know the answer already. Your daughter. I'll tell her you love her. Trust me, Miss Carlyle. She knows. There we go. Done. You'll have some tingling for the next hour or so. Nothing to worry about. I heard about the unpleasantness at Harvest 1. You did what you had to do for your family. You know that, of course. But in light of our talk this morning, I have to ask Eve, how are you feeling? Fine, James. I feel fine. Okay, that's the end of the story. So I see this right here. Hope you like that. See, this right here is like a letters page where you can respond to the story Forever Yours. Please send your correspondence to forevercarlisle@gmail.com and everything. If you want to we correspond with them. And this right here goes into the they're just talking about the story. This starts with Michael, Lark, and me. And he's going to be talking about the story and everything, and what they come up with, the ideas and everything, how they came across to make it up and everything. But let me stop us right here. Okay, but this is here, he's just talking about making the story, how he came up with it and everything like that. I'll pause that there, you can read it. And I would read it, but it would take a long time, so I won't read that. Hopefully, if you like the book, you'll pick it up and you get to find out about it. But these are some of the sketches. It's really cool. Michael getting a feel for the character right there, it says. Let's see, what's he say? Trying to make a comic and failing dismally for reasons that are too arcane and convoluted to go into here. I was at the time still relatively new in making and working in comics. Hadn't been writing them for more than 4 years at that time, maybe 5. I'd come from a novel writing background, and prose is, in the main, a very solitary pursuit. Okay. All is to say, with very few expectations, I wasn't used to actually collaborating with artists. They did their thing, I did mine, and editorial spanned the gulf in between, sometimes losing things in translation. Just different things he's talking about. So I liked what Michael did abstractly. I liked his work. Baseless, all of them. Let's see, given that I already knew Ed and wrote very differently, I had concerns. Baseless, all of them. Okay, Michael and I have finally achieved something we've been pursuing since our first meeting. Okay. But then, my ideas to come. Me at strange times, in strange ways, in strange places. I look back at my notes for what became Lazarus, and it starts with a mind's eye image of a person, male or female, I didn't know, lying dead on the ground, eyes open in a pool of blood. I think maybe I'd been thinking about the zombie stories for a while. I considered calling Forever and those of her kind zombies, and yes, we're all glad that I didn't. So I had this image, and I had my notebook, and I jotted a couple lines down that read, Bullet 1 hits me center sternum. Bullet 2 penetrates the 4th intercostal. Bullet 3, blah, blah, blah. I'm down for 2 minutes, maybe 3. By the time I'm up again, they're at the vault, and I admit I love this part, the part when they see me walking and talking and coming for them. That's all. Just the image and those words. That's pretty cool. And then here, I'll let you read this if you want to pause this here. If you're watching it on your TV or your computer. Okay, I'm going to move. And then down here, it said the earliest drawing of Forever based on Greg's original conception, drawn just days after the first discussion of the book. The image had gravity, though that much was clear. I used gravity here in the Newtonian sense, rather than to grant it undue importance. Important writing tends to be, in my opinion, anything but, and self-congratulatory to boot. But this image, this woman, this scene, it was beginning to accumulate material. It was beginning to pull detail towards its center, to gain mass and form. Two things made it manifest. The first was a conversation, and here's the image. I hope I showed it to you. That's cool. The first was conversation with an old college friend while I was visiting New York in October 2010. The second thing was Michael Lark. Michael lives in Dallas. I live in Portland, and every couple of years I end up coming through his town, normally on a book tour for the latest novel. My literary agent also lives in Dallas, and the last couple of times we all gotten together for a meal. So we're just talking about that and everything. Cool pictures. Let's say a few practice drawings based on panels from the first issue and the short story. And he talks some more over here. Michael working out some details for the stealth combat suit worn by Forever in the short story. That's cool. So now we've got the idea and the image, but I still have no answers. I've imagined a world where the 99% are the 99.9999% and the 1%, and the world's wealth now resides amongst 0.001%. I've been world building like mad, imagining these families that have so much more wealth that it's become power, and so much power that governments have, if not collapse entirely, become almost entirely irrelevant. Just everything as he goes on, you can see that. Hopefully you read that. You can read that now. And I'm going to move on. Okay. Less than an hour after I'd reached out to him, I got this email in response. I'm going to take a day to think about this, but off the top of my head, I think the solution is going to be biological, and it might give you some extra thematic goodies. I think you're going to be looking at stem cells or possibly iPS cells for induced pluripotency, basically more ordinary cells that have been tweaked to act almost like stem cells. That's the first email response. These things are true. As of the time of this writing, May 2013, in January of this year, Oxfam released a report stating that the annual income of richest 100 people in the world was enough to end global poverty 4 times over. Wow. Again, in January this year, the Economic Policy Institute released an analysis that concluded the super rich had benefited from the economic recovery. Thus far, while the middle class and below had conversely suffered. The report stated that the top 1% of wage earners had seen an 8.2% increase in their wages from 2009 to 2011, while annual wages of those Americans in the bottom 90% had actually continued to decrease by an average of 1.2% over the same period. You're just getting into economics and everything. And there's like a sketch of the cover image. And you can read down, he's going to different countries, how much money they have and everything, how much people. It's not news to say that the rich gets richer and the poor get poorer. What is news is just how stark the divide has become and how much deeper and wider it looks to grow. Okay. Just going over science, embryonic stem cells, and stuff like that. And how did he come to the idea? The thumbnail sketch of Forever that became the first issue cover. Then there's a Carlisle stamp, emblem, brand. Okay. This isn't everything. It just goes on. And hopefully you can read that. Just pause and look at it. Before we go, one last thing. We want a letters page. This requires your help. This requires your participation. Here's the deal. Send your comments, praise, condemnation, stories, pictures, whatever, to us at forevercarlisle@gmail.com. If we print your letter in an upcoming issue, we'll send you an embroidered patch of the family Carlisle coat of arms. The same sigil that all Carlisle forces wear on their uniforms. Thanks for your time, your patience, and your support of our work. Family above all. That's pretty cool. And sketch of the family Carlisle crest based on Greg's description. Greg Rucka, 2013, Portland, Oregon. He wrote that. And this is the cover to issue number 2. So if you think that story was cool and everything, even without my reading and everything like that, hopefully you liked it. But if you think it was cool, pick it up. Check it out. He says he's a great writer. That's the back. You can see how old the book is. Like 5 years ago. Wow. Almost 5, or almost 6 years ago now. Wow. So that's it. Thank you very much for watching. You guys have a great day, great night. Collected Dude is out.